Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. As mentioned, my name is Austin Above. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at TripActions, where I focus primarily on our corporate card and expense management solution, working pretty closely with a bunch of finance leaders and on the finance audience. Really excited about the webinar today. But before we get started, I just wanted to kick it over to, we can start with Patrick since he's the guest, and then Nick to introduce themselves. So Patrick, take it away.
Yeah, my name is Patrick Cerise. I'm currently the corporate controller over at DemoStack. Prior to DemoStack, I was the director of accounting and corporate controller over at Fast. And then before that, I had a stint at Gusto and then Zelle. So primarily been focused in the fintech and payment space.
And good morning, good afternoon. My name is Nick Scarlotta. I'm the corporate controller at TripActions. I've been with TripActions for a little over 4 years now, leading the corporate accounting team. Prior to TripActions, I was in public accounting for about 10 years, starting as an accountant and working up basically to an outsourced controller role, and working primarily with Silicon Valley-based technology companies. In about 10 years, I probably worked with 60 or 70 different customers. So good to be here.
Thank you both so much. So the agenda for today is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to start by explaining the modern business traveler and how that person has actually changed as a result of some changes that went on in the world. What's top of mind for CFOs right now, hinting at why legacy T&E or travel and expense is broken. And then our 5 secrets to driving down costs and boosting productivity right now. Before I get started on the content itself, I wanted to do a poll for the audience here. And the poll question is, how many technology vendors or apps do you use for your entire business trip experience? So that could be anything from booking travel to paying for your meals, submitting your expense reports, closing the books every month. The poll question should be up for about a minute.
Going to close it in about 10 seconds.
Perfect. So let me show the results here for a minute. What we're seeing here, we typically see that pretty much across the board, right? We have some people who are on 1. I'm sure your lives are going a lot easier than the people who are on 4, but that's okay. Today, we're going to talk about all the different ways that we can go from 4 down to 1. So I want to start off by just explaining and taking a look into today's business traveler. As a result of the pandemic and everyone moving towards remote work and a hybrid workforce, we're starting to realize that today's business traveler looks a lot different than the business traveler of the past. The business traveler of the past is what we like to call the road warrior. I started my career in sales, so I actually was one at one point. And we used to think of these people as like sales reps who would go to conferences or get on the plane and go to a customer and meet them in person. But now we've seen like a decrease in overall proportion of sales teams traveling by as much as 15%. And we've actually seen a rise in travel in other job functions. So now you have marketing teams, or we've seen marketing teams, the share of marketing teams traveling increase by 25%. We see the share of traveler or product teams increase by 33%. We see the share in engineering teams traveling go up 44% compared to 2019 or like pre-pandemic levels. That's because there's still that need for human interaction and there's still that need for human connection. But when you have dispersed teams all over the country, You need to fly them in for on-sites, you need to fly them in for conferences, you need to fly them in for team bonding. So now we have just different employees traveling. And this correlates to more individual business travelers and then ultimately expensors within a company. So in fact, we've actually seen a 66% increase of more unique travelers booking on TripActions relative to pre-pandemic numbers. And what we mean by a unique traveler is like someone who is booking travel maybe for the first time, or an individual person booking that traveler. So to put that into perspective, if a customer had, say, 1,000 active travelers, likely a lot of sales and marketing folks pre-pandemic, that same company would now have 1,666 unique travelers spread across different departments, maybe traveling less frequently, but incurring expenses nonetheless. And what this means for the T&E world is that solutions need to be seamless, they need to be intuitive, they need to be easier to grasp. And just considering that more employees are now traveling and interacting with these platforms more than ever. Not to mention, we're going through a pretty turbulent economic time too. I don't think it's a secret to anybody here. And that's through a variety of reasons, right? We're still feeling some things from the pandemic. There's a war going on. We have supply chain issues. Inflation is high. There's a lot of different factors at play that are affecting our economy right now. So I wanted to do another quick poll question to just see, has your organization made any changes around the 2022 budget, or already thinking about the 2023 budget because of these, the current economic state?
Gonna close the poll in about 10 seconds.
And maybe I'll speak to kind of what TripActions is thinking. We have not made any wholesale changes yet to either 22 or 23, but it's certainly something that we are talking about, it feels like, weekly. Patrick, I don't know what you guys are doing at DemoStack.
Yeah, we definitely looked at it more holistically of like, let's, go for worst case scenario, but continue on. Like, we're still a smaller company, so we still need to build. So have that planning in the background, but not make it the sole focus of, cut costs at all costs.
That's interesting because that's pretty much in line with what our poll data has just shown. A lot of people have not made any changes yet. And some people have made a lot of changes. So I think we're kind of seeing two different thought processes and two different states of the business. And the reason why we bring this up is because we've actually seen that 39% of CFOs plan to cut costs by Q4 of 2022. And at the same time, 74% of those CFOs agree that T&E tools, or improving upon T&E tools, is critical to reducing those costs. I'm going to keep the math going here and explain, why should you care about that? And like, why should you care about your travel and expense tools right now? The reality is that T&E is typically the second largest controllable line item that you have at a business, taking up about 10%